Welcome, friends. I'm Daniel, and you have found your way to the 8th installment of my breakdown on alignment in tabletop role-playing games, focusing primarily on the classic 9 alignment system that I see as the ultimate evolution of the alignment concept that was introduced in Dungeons & Dragons. But first, the normal list of YouTube plugs and a very exciting announcement. You've also found your way to the only TTRPG YouTube channel that says thanks to its supporters by giving away cars. That's right, this channel is an outlet for me to express my thoughts and views on tabletop role-playing games and to promote my other projects. So if and when this channel starts earning revenue, every penny goes to the cars that I work on in my non-driving footage, and when finished, those cars will be given away to one of my viewers. As many of you know, the first such car will be a 1974 V8 Dodge Dart that was donated by a very, very generous subscriber to the channel. My Patreon is in the video description, and paid members over there will be automatically entered to win the car once it's time for the drawing. And I'll be sending out any free members as well as any members of the channel once I have channel membership. I'll be sending out an email then too saying, hey, look, here's where you need to go to get signed up to win this car. In the meantime, it is absolutely free to subscribe, like the video, share it on social media, and to add your thoughts to the discussion in the comments section below. As far as upcoming projects, I'm still working on my D30 system and its first game, and I have an idea for a game using either the Wretched Verse mechanics with the Red Room or a 5e adaptation, so those are kind of in the works. But most exciting of all is that years ago I thought that a modern pulp-style magazine would be a cool venture. So I gathered together several talented writers from the TTRPG hobby, and for the last several months, we have been diligently writing sci-fi, fantasy, cyberpunk, and other pulp noir-style short stories. And now the time is here that I have started commissioning artwork and working on the layout as the final edits are being done to these stories. Corvid Codex, a modern pulp anthology, will be launching both digital and physical print of issue number 1 towards the end of the third quarter or the beginning of the fourth quarter of this year. And we're going to follow that with a Kickstarter. And if we have enough interest, the ultimate goal is to have an ongoing quarterly release in both digital and physical print of 5 to 7 classic pulp shorts. So that's, like I said, something I've been working on for a long time. I hope it's something that people get excited about and that it can provide some enjoyment and can get some new authors out there that you guys will really want to see, you know, both artists and writers that you'll want to see coming up every 3 months. So, now with the news out of the way, it is time to get down to business with the first of the classic 9 alignments, Lawful Good. One point that I definitely want to make explicitly clear here, and one that I will reiterate in each of the 9 breakdowns, is that each alignment is a singular philosophy. You can think of the moral axis as being the goals a character prioritizes, and the ethical axis as being how they accomplish those goals. But make no mistake, the alignments are not combinations of the two. A lawful good character is not lawful and good. He is lawful good. These two elements do not exist separately and conflict with one another. There is no good lawful where the good comes before the law or vice versa. You really need to think of it in classic, just English grammar. It's not that you're good and lawful. It is that you are a lawful version of good, or you are a chaotic version of good. You are good, and lawful is the way you work towards it. But it's one thing. It is a kind of good that you are. In many ways, a lawful good character is just as far removed from a chaotic good character as he is from a chaotic evil one. So set aside the good old-fashioned what is the paladin going to choose if the law does evil? Often framed as the evil ruler executing innocent people as he is allowed to do so by law. Just set that aside. That's a flawed quandary on numerous levels, not the least of which is failing to see alignment as that 10,000-yard view that we often discuss here, as opposed to looking at it as, a microscope under which to put individual actions. So what is lawful good? Simply put, lawful good represents a character who is morally disposed to put the advancement and well-being of others ahead of themselves, and they recognize that the structures of authority and tradition lead to the most favorable outcomes with the highest rate of success. Now notice that I said recognizes, not thinks and not feels. Alignment is a state of nature. It is how the character's mind works. The lawful good character puts others first because that's what his nature drives him to do. He does unto others, and in his mind the natural thing will be for others to do unto him. The lawful good character doesn't start from a premise of, well, it is a law on the books, so it must be good, working backwards from there. He sees a situation, and his brain immediately moves to start organizing things and setting up guidelines and restrictions to keep them organized. When we look at lawful good, we see the person who combines honor, discipline, honesty, and compassion. One must be honest and keep their word, because to lie is to harm another, causing them to act in a way they normally would not due to false information, and preventing them from acting in the way you would like to condition them to, preventing them from moving towards good results or good actions because they don't feel that they can trust what the outcome will be, because people lie and stuff all the time. And there may be exceptions where the lie results in a better outcome for everyone involved. But this is the exception, and the rules aren't made for exceptions. They're made for the majority. Ordered and organized systems of behavior lead to more predictable and efficient outcomes, and it also reduces the risk associated. Perhaps the next ruler in line is best, but assassinating the sitting ruler will cause upheaval and chaos that harms everyone nonetheless. So it's best to operate within the boundaries of the succession system to replace him. Even if it takes longer, that extra time will be more stable and less damaging to more people than even a brief revolt. And it's certainly preferable to a civil war. However, if you have a case where the throne has been usurped or somebody who's not supposed to be there has taken control, then you may have that revolt or civil war, and the lawful character would still support it, fighting against those who have corrupted the system, because the system must fight back in order to maintain that stability. In many instances, the lawful good character will oppose other good characters just as much as evil characters, because even though their intentions are noble, their methods lead to more harm than good. After all, if we lionize behavior, like lying, cheating, stealing, and killing because it worked once, then we would breed a culture that openly excuses causing harm to others based on the idea that it sometimes works out for the best. On the flip side, lawful good is still good. They operate from a baseline of that order and instruction functions better overall, but they're still good, and they're not stupid. They also recognize that the system will function better and more efficiently when it's put to exploiting others for personal gain or harming others for whatever reason, if those in control of the system choose to do so. And while a lawful good character will strive to maintain the framework of the system, and if at all possible fix it from within, they do not have this often implied restriction to fighting against the systems that are evil. The paladin will save the wrongfully convicted from execution. This is not an unlawful act, as it results from a perversion of the system. However, a paladin will also not seek to dismantle the entire justice system simply because one judge was corrupt or one ruler misused it. Where the lawful good would come into play would be like a classic Robin Hood example. You see, Robin Hood is often held up as an exemplar of chaotic good, robbing from the rich to feed the poor. Now, setting aside the obvious perversion of that reductive statement, what Robin Hood does is waylay the tax collectors of Prince John in order to weaken his ability to administer his rule over England. Now, Robin Hood can be seen as really any good alignment. How? Well, just taken at face value, he does his pillaging and robbing to support the suffering subjects of Prince John. But let's look at Robin Hood's actions through the eyes of a lawful good character for a moment. Robin Hood challenges Prince John not as a legitimate claimant to the throne, but as a usurper. Therefore, John's tax collectors are in violation of the laws as they collect them for an illegitimate ruler. In this regard, Robin Hood can very easily be lawful good, as he isn't seeking to destroy the system, he is fighting against a perversion and misuse of that system in order to restore it to its rightful state, which serves the people under Richard the Lionheart. John has no authority to order new taxes levied against the people. Therefore, John's tax collectors are simply highwaymen. However, let's say that John is in legitimate control of the nation. After all, he would eventually be the rightful king of England. Let's put Robin in after the death of Richard the Lionheart as opposed to when he was away on crusade. If Robin is opposing John as a bad ruler, attacking his tax collectors who are simply doing their job is not something that would be in the purview of a lawful good character. That would be more in line with working with John's barons to eventually force him to sign the Magna Carta. And that is really kind of the crux there, is that when John is the legitimate heir and is in legitimate control, your lawful good character is still not going to support him as he is an evil character. He's an evil ruler who is using the system to harm people. But now the lawful good character is going to pivot to trying to use the system to disrupt as few people as possible in order to force John into correcting the system, giving up some of his power so that not only is John taken care of, but many of the people who come after him no longer have the ability to exploit the system the way he did. In the 3.5 Player's Handbook, it calls Lawful Good the Crusader. I'm not particularly fond of this characterization, if only because it implies that to be lawful good requires projecting that philosophy onto the world, as if a character must seek to expand laws and traditions that they view as the framework to support what is good and righteous in order to meet that criteria. That is simply not the case. The local pastor or hardworking smith, who always does his best because he is supposed to, not because it's required, can be just as lawful good as a mighty paladin or idealistic general who is dedicated to the spread of those ideals. Remember that. Lawful good is a way of viewing the world where everyone should strive to lift each other up, and that the best way to lift the most people is to develop enduring traditions and structures of power that encourage such behavior. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it is broke, do your best to fix it once, instead of making it worse overall just to get by in the immediate present. We don't do the quick fix, the Band-Aid cut. We don't flip the thermostat upside down when the engine is showing overheating. We do the proper fix every time. That's what I've got for you guys today. Comment below and let's see what we can learn from each other. Until next time.